Hello, everybody, and welcome to LLG Random But Real. I am Lisa, 1SingingLady, here with, sometimes I say Wednesday word on Word Wednesday, but I am excited to have Keah Mason. We met, I don't even know how long ago it's been, Keah. Maybe, oh, it's probably closer to 8 years now, I'm thinking, like 8 or 10, through Real Women, mutual friend Trinace Richardson. Started that organization, and that's how we met. And so I know that this is your first time, so let me just tell you what I usually do first. This started in September of last year, the random but real part. I was posting before that, but I did it basically because I wanted to just give insight to Suicide Prevention Month, or suicide awareness, and that happens in September. And so I started doing this process then, and God just kind of grew it to what it is now. And so I always ask my guests about a mental health issue. But as anybody who watches this every first Wednesday, when we do the Stigma Breakers Collective, which is a group of speakers who talk about mental health advocacy, etc., mental health affects every aspect of our life. So whether we want to accept it or not, it does. And being a former counselor, hello, Dr. J. Thanks for joining. And so it's really important. And so we have a lot in common that we talk about. And one thing about this, it's random but real for a reason. I don't practice what I'm going to talk about. I don't, hello, Lorna. I don't practice what we talk about. Sometimes it's a topic, sometimes it isn't. Today it happens to be a topic. And so, but it's really a conversation. So if I picked up the phone and I called you, had a conversation with you, this is what might happen. It's just that we're doing it live. So it's not even you. We're going to get into it. So I don't forget. Well, I guess we could start with, I'm just trying to see what I want to start with. So Keah's I will talk about the book. She is a new author. Congratulations on that. It was released on Monday, right? The 22nd?
Yep, I have them here now.
Awesome. And so please make sure you put that in the private chat so I can copy it over so that everybody who wants to come back to watch this does have it. Hello, Tracy. It's good to see some people I know on here, because we're going to talk about both of our loneliness. And some of this is actually like, well, maybe I wasn't as lonely as I thought I was.
Yeah.
So tell everybody the title of your book and why you wrote it.
Yeah. So the title of the book is When Loneliness Visits. And I wrote the book because I just happen to be pretty familiar with loneliness. Just ironically, like you mentioned, we're connected through Real Women, which is an organization for women to do real work on themselves in a very safe space. It's grit, and it's like real soul digging and all that type of stuff. And, I was just attending for years and years and just, learning and taking it all in. But in 2017, Trinace, our mutual friend, asked me to facilitate at an intensive, which is kind of similar to a conference. And I'm like, okay, about what? And she said, I want you to facilitate a session about loneliness. And I was like, how appropriate, right? Because I got loneliness on my face,
Right.
So kind of my thing. And I'm fine with it, just very comfortable talking about it. And that was my first time ever facilitating for Real Women. And of course, so the nerves and all of that. But once I started, I was just so moved by the fact that it resonated with so many people. Loneliness is not a single thing. It is not because you don't have children. It's not that. So what I've always loved and appreciated about Real Women is the diversity in the room, just between women. I mean, just the age differences and the different status in terms of career and relationships and background and culture. But you strip us away of all of that stuff, and you see that loneliness is something that at some point we all have faced. And I just love the connections and the discussions and just how engaged everybody was. And, just across the room, it was like, me too, me too, me too, me too. And I'm like, oh, I to hear that from somebody that was married, to be quite honest with you. So it was a revelation for me, but I only had an hour to facilitate the session. And I was just like, you know what? I am not finished with this. There's more that I want to do. And so since I was blogging for Real Women anyway, which was, I wasn't trying to be a writer or anything, but blogging to me is kind of like a journal entry. But since I was already doing that and sharing it in that platform, I was like, what if I combine the two? And so because, you know, we have a friend that's a publisher, she has her own publishing company. I'm like, I want to write.
You can shout her out if you want to. We
yeah,
like,
so Siobhan Carter, the Purpose Publishing Company. Her vision is to help women tell their story. And I wanted to tell my story, not because I feel like my story is just so this or that, but just because, again, we all face it. And it's not about just unpacking, you know, what I've done or how I've responded to it, but more so the other side of it is what I want people to connect to so that they can, you know, begin to see loneliness through a different lens. So that was the whole purpose of the book.
Okay. While you're doing that, because when we're going, I'll be putting people out there. So if you can go ahead and type that in now, so somebody just asked how they can purchase the book, you can tell them.
Okay, so look, this is really raw. So I don't know how to open up another tab and still be here with you.
Got you. Okay. So are you on your phone?
So no, I'm on my computer. So I don't know how.
It should show up on the right side, but that's fine. You can.
Okay. I'll text it to you right now.
That is fine. Absolutely. So one of the other things on Random But Real is we talk about real stuff in the moment. So this is, like I said, this will happen in the conversation. Nothing's wrong. Nothing. Whatever you say, we will, you know, we'll just move forward.
Okay. So I just texted to you.
Okay. So as soon as I get it, I'll be looking, you know, doing both. Don't worry. We're going to get it in there. It didn't come through yet. So I'll have that for you in a second, Dr. Braxy Gilkey Cruises. And so one of the things that we've talked about, well, a few things, like you're right. It's not just about relationships. A lot of people I've learned, even as a counselor, wear masks and they don't talk about the deepest, darkest secrets. I don't know if you got a chance to see or hear when I went to TikTok to make the video, I picked Lettuce's Alone. Although loneliness and alone are two different things, a lot of times it's because we feel alone that we start to feel the loneliness there. And a lot of people do focus more so on the relationship aspect of stuff. But I wanted you to list some of the things or some of the areas that people may not be aware of when it comes to loneliness, because there are a lot.
In terms of people that face it, you mean?
Just in general, like why is not just relationships? Why else might somebody be lonely?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's what I really hope to achieve in the book, that every woman picks it up and sees themselves in the book. Because I know people that know me are like, oh, she's single. I ain't single. I don't need to read it because I'm not going through that. But Lisa, think about that, the new mom, right, that has young kids. And now that she's busy with her kids, her friends don't call her to go out and do stuff anymore because they're like, oh, you're busy. Or, you know, somebody that's married, oh, you're busy with your husband, you're busy taking care of your family. Flip side of that, somebody who is not in a relationship anymore, or someone who is divorced, or someone who is widowed. Someone like us, we're lonely now as daughters. You know, that's a whole nother ball game. You might be lonely because you switched jobs, or you may be lonely because of the position in your job. If you're the boss, if you're the leader at your job, are people connecting with you on a personal level? Are they inviting you to hang out because your status is up here? You might be lonely because you have relocated, moved to a new location. You don't have, you know, the friendships have not formed yet. So they're various reasons. I think hopefully I mentioned, maybe I forgot if I said it already, someone who is retired, you know, or now you're an empty nester. Your kids are grown, and it's like, now what do you do? Because you're not ripping and running them everywhere. So now, you know, what do you do with this new free time? So there's just lots of reasons. And we all know now the pandemic then ripped us a new one. And that's teaching us all. You know, if you didn't think you experienced loneliness before, you experiencing it now.
You definitely are now. Absolutely. Absolutely. So some of those you talked about, we are going to touch about relationships earlier this year. I don't know if you ever had a chance to meet Damon. I know Damon's been on Siobhan's show, but a friend of mine. And so we would go to all these like single events. And so that's my brother. We talked about loneliness last year on one of the shows, and the topic is just from a male perspective, because a lot of males don't talk about that. But I have to, and I said I would tell Keah, I told her beforehand, today would have actually been my mother's 78th birthday. And I spent the night, like, I want to get to the point where, and I might cry, which I told you that too.
Okay.
I look at the pictures and just be happy. But if for me, it's all the memories bring a lot of tears. And, I'm so thankful for the mom she was. And always be, and she was everybody's mom. Like some people on here that knew her would call her Mama Gilliam too. So I knew that I probably would, but it hits hard. And I appreciate you, because you were like, we don't have to do it that day. I'm not one of the persons that back away. One of the things that I've learned just as a person, and even more so as a counselor, is that it does not matter if I'm going through. If my topic or something I'm dealing with can help you, then just let me go through. Like my life is a living testimony. And so, I want to wake up one day on her birthday and not have sad, cry or be crying or whatever, but that hasn't happened yet. And it'll be 4 years in October. And I know that you are actually even more new in that situation. Did you want to share anything about the loneliness you felt since your mom has passed? And again, my condolences,
Thank you. Thank you,
doesn't matter if it was yesterday or months before. I don't understand how people are so callous when it comes to that. But I do, because they haven't experienced it and they don't get it. So.
Yes. So I definitely get it. Times a whole lot, because my dad has passed away as well, and all of my grandparents now at this point. My mom, of course, being mom. There's nobody like mom. It is. Woo, for me, it's very similar. The emotions, you have the mixed emotions, because you have the gratitude, and you have, as a Christian, you have that faith, and I know where she is, and oh, thank you, Jesus, and she is suffering, and we have all of that, but we have the daughter in us too, the little girl that just wants her mom. And so even in our highs and lows in life, I don't care if it's I just got engaged, or I
want her there.
Like I don't care what it is, or my guest is having at work today.
Right.
Nothing replaces that. And so that sting is always there. But for me, and again, the same, and I think that this parallels to loneliness in general, because just because it's there, I'm not denying it. I'm not avoiding it. I'm not, I ain't running or anything like that. I'm not in denial about it. But I know that I don't want to be stuck by it, or paralyzed, or crippled. And I don't want to make bad decisions because of it. So when the daughter in me feels like crying and grieving and calling out for her mom, I let myself do that. Absolutely. And I don't care how long it takes me, and I don't care that it's every day. But I also process what is real and what is true. And the truth of the matter is, how lucky am I to be her daughter? And I'm still her daughter. So when I have those moments, I don't have no parents, and that's the lie. And that's the lie. And that's the type of stuff loneliness does. Because it's okay to feel lonely. It's okay to feel like you're by yourself in that moment. But the negative self-talk that you start to do, that's the part that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? And that it's natural to do it, because, like, for instance, let me give you an example. I might say, well, because I'm single, I must be unattractive, because why else would I be single? That's the lie part. And that's the part that I can't feed myself. So I just try to allow my faith and my love for my mom to be bigger than the grief and the mourning, just so that I don't get stuck. I think of, how am I going to honor her? How can I, because the reality for me is I feel like I can actively still show love for my mom and towards my mom. Haven't had to separate that. And that's just my personal belief. I don't believe that it does. So I am physically missing all of the people who aren't physically here, but I get up every day and still show love for them and honor them and their legacy by being the best version of me that I can be. So that's my choice. So, you know, even when I think about like the book coming out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just want to tell my mom. I just want to tell my mom. It's like, allow yourself to feel it. Go ahead and feel it. But what are you going to do? Something, and then I'll stop after this because I feel like I'm just going. Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is hard for me because I'm single, and you know, whatever people can say what they want to say about Valentine's Day, but I want all that. I want a boo. I want all of that stuff. I want it. But and it's my birthday is also near Valentine's Day, so you know, that's a heavy time. But this year, when I was out, I was getting something at the store, and I passed the cards, and for some reason, I could not walk past the Valentine cards. I couldn't. The mom Valentine cards. I couldn't do it. And I didn't have a breakdown in the store. If I would have, okay, that would have been what happened. But I didn't have a breakdown, but I didn't make myself move past it. So what I chose to do in that moment was I purchased 3 cards, mother's cards, for Valentine's Day for mothers, because I have other women in my life who are mother figures to me. So it's not dishonoring my mom, but instead it's still celebrating
another person,
which I can still do. So you know what I'm saying? So it's a choice. It is a choice.
So the counselor in me has to also say sometimes it is, because the reality is, when you've been diagnosed with a mental health issue, top of the grief, it's not just that easy. And I talk about my own struggle. That I talk more about my mom, and anybody that's been watching this sees. But my mom was a nurse. In the last 2 weeks of her life, she could not speak. She could not talk. She could not hand. She could not. This person who took care of people all of her life could no longer do that. And the trauma of seeing her being, you know, they had to resuscitate her in front of me. I was in the room again when she took her last breath. So, it messed me up. Like the trauma, it triggered the trauma because I found my grandmother deceased in 95. And then also deceased, and my grandparents, just like you. And so I felt like a widow. I really did. But the biggest area that I feel loneliness in is the lack of support. So even some of the people that we know, you know, but I've been singing, speaking, all this stuff for years, like a good almost 30 years, had a company for 12 years. And there's still some people that I know that have never, ever been to one concert. They never they never came to one speaking engagement. They never shared a post. They never even said thank you if I purchased their stuff. That's more because my mom was my number one supporter. And until she didn't necessarily feel her best, she was always there. So if I knew no one else would be there, and there's several people there on this platform right now that are watching who did support me, but it actually almost physically hurts me that I'm like, it takes 1 second just to press share. You know what I mean? Sometimes I didn't have the financial means. Actually, sometimes even now I didn't. But it's still different ways that you can support. And so I often feel very lonely because I don't get the support of people who I thought were my friends. So now I'm at a place, Keah, where I've literally separated myself from a lot of people. I realized that I was the common denominator in that. And that if I feel this way and I've shared it with you, you still don't want to do whatever, then I need to kind of separate myself from you. And that's but hurtful situation, because and I would love to talk to my mom about that, and I can't. So I do agree with you. Back to the choice, it is your choice to choose to be happy or sad. I really thought I was going to be good this year. I'm like, dang, it's been almost 4 years, I should be okay. But I honor her and celebrate and always do a happy heavenly birthday mom post. I may not do that for all my relatives, but I usually do that for her. And I post a picture of myself and my brother with her or her by herself. And so many people called her mom that, sometimes even the comments they make me cry even more. But it was just like, well, then why do you post it? But because she was that loving person. And I do want to like celebrate her. Cause like you said earlier, like today is still her birthday, even though she's not here. This was the day she was born. And so that's one of the ways. And one of my friends was like a coworker, she said, Lisa, just go get some Starbucks or go do. And so that's why I was so like running behind, although I got back one time, amazing. But I was like, I need to go eat first of all, because you do yourself. That's a big thing that people don't do when they're lonely in this state. They'll allow the depression and all that stuff to kind of overwhelm us. And I remember when I was Grief Share it was phenomenal for me. Griefshare.org talked about that. They talked about, making sure that you were healthy and that you were, going to all your doctor's appointments and all that stuff. And another way of support is supporting when I didn't just, I knew you were going to be on here. I could be like, oh, I'll just wait till Keah gets on here to talk. No, I wanted to hear your other stuff. I wanted to support you and to support the people that you were on their show. So I got a chance to listen to the podcast. I haven't been able to listen to everything you've been on because Keah's been busy. Y'all go like Google her. She's been really busy since, right before the book. And I'm like, praise God. That's awesome. It's awesome that you have the support. But it's also awesome that you've had people, really there. It's not just, oh, I'm doing it because Keah. Like you have the innate support, and that's a blessing. I've not really had that in my life. So that's really it's caused me to feel like when my mom died, I'm really by myself. I'm really alone. And some people aren't even maybe aware that I feel that way. Some may don't care, So I just think that we have to be careful just to know it's one thing when you're operating on 100% and you are lonely. It's a difference when you're already broken and then loneliness also.
Yeah.
It's it. So
I get that. I totally get that.
Yeah. So when it comes to the whole relationship thing, because it would have been nice to have like I'm not a big chocolate fan, but I eat it. I say I'm for a reason. Like I didn't get this way, just nothing. So it would have been lovely to have some chocolate or my Fireballs, my favorite candy. Hint. Watching. What'd you say?
Some flowers.
Some flowers, right. A teddy bear. I'll take a stuffed animal at 47. So how did you, even though you did that, how do you plan on moving forward? Because it's still really new for you. And are you thinking about like future when it comes to, so not just the death of your mom, but even the loneliness that you felt, with the relationship? Or is it just like, I'm just taking it day by day, one day at a time?
So that's a loaded question. I'm like, where do I start?
You just take your time and just jump in.
Man, so the lessons are just so real. So I see a glare. So like, let me take my glasses off.
I can't see it, but that's fine.
So this is how I look at things right now. Cause me and God, we like, cause I'm like, it's been enough. Like, come on, time out. Like it seems like it's so much. And I'm grateful, but I'm like, God, come on, enough. That's how I feel right now.
I feel you.
So I've been thinking a lot about teaching, about my job. I'm a teacher, guys. I happen to just publish a book, but I can't say I'm a writer. Like that ain't really what I really do. I'm a school teacher. I'm an elementary school teacher, and I love being a teacher.
And she was just honored, though. I gotta put that plug in. What were you honored? I know a teacher. Was it of the year, of the state, of the month?
I was nominated for Teacher of the Year. So
okay. But you see, hold on, no, because I gotta. This is the random but real part. You see how humble she is. She's just like, That is really Keah. Like, this really is her. Just in case y'all, you know what I'm saying? Okay, I digress. I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you for that. I was nominated by my school for Charles County Teacher of the Year, and I appreciate it. But I've been thinking about teaching a lot, because we're teaching in a whole, this is a whole different aspect of teaching that nobody could have prepared for. But what this time has taught me, the hardship of teaching virtually has taught me that, you can strip us away of everything that is familiar to us, and the goals and objectives of teaching will still be the same. Your heart towards what you want to achieve as a teacher is still the same. No, I don't care if you online, if I'm looking at you through a computer, or if you're in the classroom with me, it's the same. So what I know my major goal is as a teacher is to get my students to a place where they are independent of me. Mm-hmm. I think that's what all teachers strive for. You teach your students, you teach them, you have the instruction, and then comes the application piece for them. So their test or their assessment or whatever, because it's like, now, okay, show me what you know, right? Well, when they're showing you what they know, you're not hovering over them. That's when you step back, because it's like, it's their turn, right? You've taught them everything that they need. And so now it's up to them to apply it, and you just get to stand back. That's what teachers really want to do. We want our students to be independent of us, right? So I've been a teacher, but in this season, now I'm the learner. Yeah. Now I'm the student. And I feel like God saying to me, and especially even through my mom, Keah, you have everything you need to be successful and pass these tests. Mm-hmm. You've had the instruction, you've had the pouring into, you've had everything that you need. It's your turn. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to be a student. Don't be afraid to be a learner. And so all this that I'm going through is like really new. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and all these challenges. And I feel like God's saying, everything you need is in you. Everything you need, you have in you. I've equipped you. Your mother has equipped you. You're ready. You wouldn't be given this test if you weren't ready, if I had not prepared you. And so when you ask the question, well, moving forward, what am I going to do? How am I going to handle it? It's that mindset for me, that void that I feel, the void I feel from not having my parents here physically, because your parents, you could be singing, Lisa, and you could have thousands of people. You could have 1 million people in that audience, and you're going to focus on the one person who's not there, and that's your mother. Mm-hmm. No one else is going to matter. I feel the same way. I know how you feel with that. But it's like, it's just, acceptance and just for me, when I feel all those voids, they're very real, and I don't snap my finger and make them go away. I don't wish them away. I allow myself to feel it. And so the rest of my life, I plan on allowing myself to feel it and allowing myself to go through it, but to grow through it. And so my plan is to be real and to be authentic, but to also tell myself that every time I need my mother, whatever void I'm feeling, that I can go through the mirror and I'll see her. I can open my mouth and I'm going to hear her. Mm-hmm. There's no way you be connected to somebody that long and not already have them as a part of you too. So, when you ask, how are you going to move on? How are you going to get through those other moments? Same thing applies for relationships. I'm almost 40 now. And of course, we wanted the husband and the kids and in that order. And during this time, Like now, like Lord, maybe you lost track of time, but that was when I had said I wanted it.
Yes, and I got you by 8 years, so I'm almost half a century. Like, you're kind of late, God, right?
Listen, okay. So all of those things, when we say, we talk about voids from whatever, voids from,
Absolutely.
dang, it's Friday night, ain't nobody asked me what I was doing, or it's my mother's birthday, nobody asked, hey, you want to go? Let's go get some cake and ice cream to celebrate your mother's birthday, or
okay.
Whatever.
Yeah,
whatever it is that you're wanting, it is a void that we all have, but it's I think sometimes I wonder, and I'm not going to say it's always the case. I'm not saying that, but I just noticed for me in my life, it was like, okay, you have what you need though, more than what you think. And it was just a matter of me wanting to make healthier decisions out of wholeness, and just wanting better for myself. Yeah. Because engaging in the toxicity and the cycles of repeated behavior, it wasn't working, and you get to a point where you get tired, and so it's like, look, I know I'm feeling these voids and they're real, and it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're not going to minimize those things. They're real. We wanting things. If you feel void of friendships, well, God created relationships, so you're not wanting anything that's bad or anything like that. Right. So it's very real. But I just think for me, learning to empower myself to either be the company to myself that I need, and to be able to confidently ask for what I need, and to also ask God to help me to release the grudges and the expectations. And again, going back to grief. And I feel like if y'all watch this, you're like, why do you keep talking about grief? I'm sorry, because this is what we know right now.
Right. Don't worry. It's going to bless somebody, Keah, because we all go through it. If you live, you die. And so you might not have yet, even though I do know some people on here who have specifically gone through this. Yeah. But, right. So go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, whatever that happens to just be what's so fresh, in our lives. So I feel like every example is linked.
It goes back to right. Yeah, it's linked. I don't think that people realize that though. Like, I don't think they see the link. There was a few things you said. One, I mean, like, I was like, I really don't have to be here because Keah is covering it all. But no, it's good. It's good conversation. But one of the things you said, when I first preached after my mom died, you're exactly right. And that time I had my brother, my cousins came out, my friends, like the sermon was amazing. And I'm very hard on myself. I would hoop and holler more as a singer than I do a preacher. I'm more of a teacher preacher. Like I'm not going to be yelling at you. But I missed her. And then the first time I had to preach out actually at a different church was at Tree of Life in Clinton. And I was doing like a youth service. And one of my friends, I was just telling her, it's going to be really weird looking out and she's not there. So you hit the nail on the head with that one. And my friend actually did come to me, but with me. And I so appreciate it. And then come to find out some other friends happened to be visiting on that particular day. And so they were in the audience. And then I didn't even know some of my friends went there and were members and they were there. So I had support and didn't even know that I had support more than just the person who invited me to come. But another thing that you said is so, 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 so important. When my mom died, I knew that because I have dealt with depression and PTSD, acute stress, anxiety. Those are all the diagnoses that I've received. Probably more, but those were the main ones, right? And now it's still just the PTSD, getting through that, and the insomnia has been a really good, big transition or big, I guess, symptom. But remind me to talk about that because that's also kind of tied in. One of the things that I did is I was deliberate in asking my friends to support me. It's not for anybody else to be coming to me really to say, hey, Lisa, what you need. If I need X, Y, and Z, and you just said, ask for what you need. And I did that. And every week I set up different dates. I had two friends, Sharice and Pam. We went out to dinner once a month. There were some people who canceled, and I understand that plans change. But for me, in that moment, canceling felt like death because I already
Yeah.
And, and then now I can't believe that I can't depend on you being there. So it felt, I dealt with the rejection and abandonment a lot. And I know that that's not what the person meant, but I did tell them, and they had a different understanding when I did share what that did. Because if you can't make it, then it would just be nice for you to ask for another date.
Yeah. Yes.
But people, for me, don't usually, they cancel on me and then that's it. We don't have another day. And that's like guy friends or platonic or relationship or female friends. Like that's just kind of been my story. So I've gotten kind of used to it, which is kind of sad. No wonder I feel loneliness a lot, right? But I think that me asking for what I wanted and what I needed, like I told people, I was like, you know what? So far, February 24th hasn't been a good day for me. I want it to be. I want to wake up and be happy. I want to wake up and not, look at pictures and start crying. But in case I'm not, check on me. If you really care about me, you'll actually do that because you say you're my friend. Now, some people do, and some people fall through, but then that goes back to the mental health thing. One of the things we say as counselors and advocates, especially someone dealing with depression, you don't tell them that you're going to do something and not follow through. Because that one thing actually is sometimes life or death for a person deciding to decide. And people don't realize that it's your words matter. Your actions, but your words matter. And so whenever I haven't been able to support people financially, because I felt that loneliness, I will try to find other ways to be supportive. And for real, I really wish that others would do the same thing for me. Shameless plug. You want to support? Like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube page right now. And share Keah's book right now. That's support, y'all. That really is. It's really that simple. But I know thousands of people, Keah, and I'm not even playing. I have only less than 300 followers. People will not. So I don't care how much I beg or whatever. So yeah, and it's not even a grudge, but it is a pain there. Have you ever stumped your toe on it or heard people do it and it hurts, right? Like badly. And in that moment, you're just like, ouch, or whatever you might use. And then after you do it, maybe you found out that you broke your toe, because I broke my toe. I broke my toe. Flip flop came off and I broke my toe. And when I tell you that was some excruciating pain, it lingered even though I was done with the actual incident. And so a lot of people think because you still feel pain or hurt, that means you're not over it. No, that's not true. It means that it just hasn't healed yet. Wait, and because of it, I got a crooked toe. Like it never healed the way it was supposed to. Sometimes things don't go back to what they were, but that does not mean that you're not healing and you're not progressing. And I love that you've made these choices, to be cognizant of what you need, and you're taking steps not to just help yourself, but other people too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because you said
it's an ongoing thing.
Absolutely. Every day, right? It's not.
And you know what? Every day it feels like a different battle. It feels like a different battle.
Yes. So do you have a core set of people that you feel, and you can shout them out if you want to, you don't have to, but just a core set of people that you feel have supported you through this time, that they really got your back?
Yeah. You know what? I've had lots of people. And I am so thankful for it. What I will say though is that the whole grief thing, that was hard. I mean, that's just always going to be hard. And then add pandemic to it. That's because when you go to the funeral, and I wanted to fall out in somebody's lap, like I wanted to I wanted to roll around the floor. I wanted to do all of that. I felt like it was necessary, but I couldn't even at my mom's service. First of all, it was like spread out, spaced apart, not a lot of people in there. no hugging, no touching. I don't even know if you're allowed to look at people because of COVID. Like, you know what I mean? It was, the loneliest thing, whereas you would have had house full of people, everybody coming over, bringing fried chicken and let's look at these photos and all of that, which would have been better. Normally it brings about a togetherness, and it didn't, because of the pandemic, so that in itself was hard. And at first, you get the phone calls and you get the text messages and you get the people dropping by food because you ain't cooking nothing. And you got flowers and stuff being delivered, and it's nice. And then it gets quiet
after the funeral. That's when everything shuts down.
Those arrangements are finished. It gets quiet. So that happened, but then it took several months for me to sell my mom's house, because I wasn't pressed to be in a hurry. And I felt like as long as I had that to do, I was still doing daughter duties. If I had I gotta go over to the house and, check on things. And, I would take stuff out little by little and do things a little bit at a time and, check the mail and stuff like that. So I was holding on, longer. But even when that stopped, when that ended, it was like, I've settled all her business now. Now what? Like, she's gone all over again.
You gotta face your reality of the actual loss.
Like, I don't have, like, for real, I don't have nobody's daughter to be now, because I've taken care of everything for her. That was the last thing I had to take care of, so there was that thing. And but anyway, different seasons, people were quiet, and it was people sometimes that I didn't expect. And I would be lying if I said it didn't hurt. But I want to share with you and everybody that's listening. And I'm not like super spiritual. Lisa is the preacher, the teacher.
I am not. Long time,
I am not. I am not.
Hiatus. Yes, she is, y'all. Y'all heard her, right? She's been preaching the whole night. But okay.
Because this is how God has encouraged me. And I keep going through the thing of encouraging myself, because I get down. I get down. This is what I'll say. When my mom passed, there was so many emotions in my life. And my mom was sick, but I just didn't know it was going to be that fast. Like, I didn't know it was going to be that seriously. So it was kind of a shock. But I had so much guilt. And it was like, not only are you missing your mom, but just the guilt, like, I should have said this and I should have done this and I wish I would have, all of that. And if you knew those were going to be your last days, you would have done better and you would have been more present. And all that stuff comes up, right? I
understand. I relate. Yes.
All that stuff came up. And what God said to me, what God gave me, was 1 Corinthians 13. Because there was some stuff that I had to wrestle with. Again, not only grieving her and realizing, oh my gosh, my mom's got to be my mom from a distance now, but all that other stuff. And I just felt like God saying, Keah, at the end of it, love overrides all of that. I knew that she was free and that she wasn't suffering. Right. There's no way in the world I could celebrate that and put myself through bondage and suffering. I can't celebrate her victory if I'm going to put myself through that. So I had to allow God to release that feeling from me. And the verse that stands out the most is love keeps no record of wrongs. And I felt like, when I tell you, Lisa, that was God's gift to me. And it is even now. And I want to connect it, not only from my mom and I, to say, Keah, she is at peace. She was not mad. She was not upset. Mm-hmm. She loved you. You loved her. That is it. She was not keeping a checklist of, Kid didn't go grocery shopping for me this time, and kid didn't bring this, and she didn't do this, and kid sent me to this hospital in the first place, and I ain't want to come here, because my mother was sick and then went to the hospital and contracted COVID.
Wow.
So
sorry.
You know how I felt, so, but again, when God sent that verse to me, it has been the most comforting thing. So every time I feel like slighted or abandoned, like people don't call, like family members or who you think your best friends are, and those people aren't calling and doing what you think they should do or you think you would do, I think that to myself, love keeps no record of wrongs. If God is not keeping score of what we do wrong, why am I? And Lisa, I say that to say that's what I tell myself. When I go there and I think about who didn't call or who didn't send this and who didn't check on me and all of that, I'm like, yeah, you keeping the record, you keeping the record. And I know for me, I only want to be filled with love. My mother's passing showed me how short life is. My mom was only 61. My dad was 60. He passed. It'll be 5 years in May. And so my parents checked out of here real young. Before they even got a chance to be grandparents, they were gone. And so for me, that woke something up in me. And I'm not saying that if you're struggling with something, I'm not saying you're not woke. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we're all different in how we handle things. And I just wanted to offer, and I wanted to share something that has brought me peace. And it's continual because I still have to do it. Tell myself, stop keeping these records. Just love. Whoever's loving you, embrace it. They don't have to do it. Just open your arms and embrace it, because at the end of the day, you might feel void. But if you know that God is for you, then you're not lacking anything. Now, He just don't give us necessarily what we want, but I can't say I haven't had what I needed. So I might have wanted a certain person to call, somebody I'm checking for, my little crush. I might have wanted him to call. But you know what? Because he didn't, then I'm forgetting that my girlfriend called, somebody I went to school. You know what I'm saying? You forget all those other people that have been doing and that have been there and that have been present. You forget. Because and I'm talking to myself. I be like negating.
No, you're talking to me too.
Because I'm focused on, but it should have been this person.
Mm-hmm.
And who says, you know what I'm saying? We're determining that. So I check myself by having to say, you're keeping records of wrongs, and that's not what love is. And if you want to walk in love, and I do at this point in my life, I'm not going to do it perfect, but I want to be better at walking in love. Same thing happened to me, my birthday and Valentine's Day. Here I went on, let me tell you this y'all going to laugh at this. I went away for my birthday and did a solo trip because I wanted to. But see, here's the thing. I'm telling on myself, you made me real transparent.
That's what we do here.
It was a good thing, and I did enjoy myself and everything like that. But to be honest with you, I said, well, ain't nobody gonna do nothing anyway. Let me do it. So that was my mentality in the back of my mind, right? So I go and I had a good time. I'm posting and I'm taking all these
selfies. Your pictures.
Yeah. People were like, who are you with? Who's taking those pictures? I was like, girl, the camera on my phone, the timer, I'm setting it, I'm propping it up. This is all me. I'm here by myself, which was a great thing. And I'm glad that I took the lead. I was like, listen, you're not going to be in a bed. You're not going to be depressed on your birthday. And I didn't want that for myself. So I did it. But guess what I also did? When a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, I had been sending him pictures the whole time. And, we had been in touch. He's like, oh, you having a good time? I'm happy for you. And, he was just celebrating with me and had been basically present with me, the whole time, and was really, really, really genuinely happy. But that night when I was having, I had a brownie and some ice cream at dinner, and they, people came and gave me that at the restaurant and stuff. He texts that, you don't need nobody to have a good time. You doing it up out there. I text back. I said, well, company would be nice and company is always welcome, but I've learned to be intentional about showing up for myself even when others don't. He was like, the shade. And that was. So I learned how to be nice. I learned how to be nice, nasty. So I learned that was me spewing my resentment and my disappointment and my bitterness in a very respectful way to all the people that didn't say, you want to do something for your birthday? What were you going to do for your birthday? You want to celebrate? And that's what that was. And so again, when you start having expectations of people, you're going to be disappointed because those expectations, it's not that it's unrealistic necessarily, because God intends for us to have relationships, but we can enjoy relationships when we stop trying to control them. And I'm just talking to myself. That's what I realized in my life, that I cannot tell people necessarily how to love me or control how they love me, but I can control how I love myself. That's the part I can control. So whatever they're giving, whatever the love is that they're giving and pouring out, however they want to, I just embrace it. I might have wanted you to take me to Paris, but if that's not what you did, okay, I'm not going to be any less happy. You know what I'm saying? So it goes back to what I was saying earlier for me about the choice. And I know I am not saying that the choice is easy. And I'm not saying that I get it right every day. And I'm not saying that we'll all handle it the same way. I'm just offering what I hope to be just maybe a different way to look at it.
You definitely are doing that. Like I said, these have been a blessing for me, talking about the random reels, because I don't know everything, although people think that I think I do. Because a lot of people have said that. And I was having a conversation with one of my friends. I was like, hey, being a counselor, we actually are experts in some areas, because we have to study relationships, we have to study communication. But because I'm a talker, people think that it's Lisa talking. They forget about the fact that I've studied for years. I have master's degree, I have doctoral classes. I quit the program, but that's a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've studied to be able to help people with relationships and, to communicate better and mediate. Like, I'm not just saying stuff off the top of my head. And so these conversations give me something to think about. I hope my prayer is that anybody that's watching these, regardless, because I also, and I forgot to do this, these are just opinions. Yes, I was a counselor, but they're not, I'm not a counselor in this situation. I don't try to be. And so I meant to put this up. Well, not this, I'm sorry. So that if you need a therapist, you can reach out to me and I will refer, because that's not what I'm doing in this role right now. And so I don't want to be sued. I don't want nobody saying that I said that. I'm not speaking from a counselor perspective, but I have helped a lot of people in my 20 years being a counselor and or educator. And so I want to still continue to help. And this is a different way. But if we can't have a conversation and disagree and talk about the disagreement so that we can get to a place of healing, then what's the point? I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I don't want to be right, but I do want to be understood. I understand at least my point of view, where I'm coming from, and try to be empathetic in the place of whatever it is. Like you said, everybody's been lonely. It may not be about the same things, could be in a room of thousands of people and still feel the loneliness. It just depends on where you are. But I think we should be striving to get to a place where, we do have peace and we do have, we're able to have conversations like this, regardless if we agree or disagree. I'm excited that, like, I feel like I've been kind of on the sidelines, watching you grow. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. Like, you didn't talk a lot when we first met. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden it was like, she also plays kickball, y'all. And so like, Keah does a lot of bit of everything. You know what I mean? What grade are you teaching this year?
4th.
Okay, 4th grade. We actually had the opportunity to work in the same school. I was a counselor in the school that she was teaching in or whatever. And so I would see her a lot more often. I don't even know how long it's been since I've seen you physically.
Yeah.
people in the pandemic because I don't hang around anybody. So, but that's beside the point. So it's just like you've always kind of been like a quiet powerhouse. That's the only words. And so when you do speak with sincerity, and I don't believe that wisdom has to come from age. I don't. Um, I believe that sometimes wisdom comes from experience, and you experience some things. And if others will be just willing to listen to whatever is being experienced, then they may not have to experience them the same. But that, it takes us having conversations. So I'm very grateful that you were willing to share. It always surprised me because I didn't think it was going to go this way, but I'm happy with whatever has come out. But do you want to tell people how they can connect with you on social media, or I already posted how they can get the book. So we definitely want y'all to go out and get Keah's book.
Thank you. Thank you. So I can see things flashing up on the screen, but I don't know how to look at any of that right now. So
it's fine. It'll be in the YouTube. Okay. When you go to YouTube, you can it'll come up live actually if you watch it yourself. I don't know if you replay. Sometimes I don't, but if you do, then you'll see comments.
I know somebody or a couple people may have said they purchased it. So I just wanted to say thank you for those of you that have purchased it, or those of you that may be interested. Thanks so much for that. I appreciate it. So I'm on social media, Facebook the most. So Keah L. Mason, and then just Keah Mason on Instagram, and Twitter is Keah_Mason. So typing in Keah Mason, and it's KEAH, you'll find me.
Yes. Let me tell y'all, that time I know how to spell your name. My phone is stupid, y'all, and it changed it from KEAH to KIA, and she was like, "It's KEAH." I was like, "I know," and I felt so bad. I didn't really know. It was my phone. My phone auto incorrects.
No, I know. I was just telling them so that if they want to search something,
no. I just thought it just reminded me of face. So Keah L. Mason on Facebook, Keah Mason on
Instagram,
and Twitter. You said as what?
Keah_Mason.
So I don't know. This is the one thing I did learn, and I know that you've been doing your stuff, but when I went, I was actually trying to show my friend how to get to your book, but because your page was private on Instagram, they couldn't get there. So you may want to consider the stuff. If you have questions about that, I had to learn on my own because it people from being able to entertain get you unless you already have just something separate for your book. So it's just something to think about.
Okay, good.
I want people to be able to get to you without, and I don't know if you're like if I don't know you. Even with the teaching thing, because I know we have to be careful. Yeah. So I don't follow people, but my page is public. So if they happen to find me, if they're doing a search, then oh well, you know what I'm saying? But I won't follow back if there's somebody, of course, that I'm not supposed to follow. But it's something to think of, so that you can still get your sales, because I don't want you to. And I'm honest about my stuff. So just in case you're wondering why I haven't purchased my book, I told myself, and y'all hear this here, I will support people when I say I have no place else to put anything until I'm able to move. I promise you, I don't have any place else. So the way that I'm supporting is by telling other people. Hopefully one day that'll change. And I'm being, one of the ways of being honest with myself is when my mom died, we gave 10, no, maybe 20 or 30 boxes to the book thing in Baltimore. That's how many we had in this house. And I decided to keep some of them and myself that I would read those before I purchased any more. Against you, just so you know, I like to be real about my stuff. But if there's any other way that I could support you, I had to tell one of my other author friends the same thing. I like for people to know because, and I don't know, I don't feel like it's a record or wrong. I just remember people doing it. They would buy my CD and give it to people instead of actually purchasing my CD. And I wasn't working. It was, it was really hard at that time. And so I really do want people to purchase your book. And, I think that so many of us deal with loneliness, not just females, y'all, but males too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Get it for your boyfriend, your boo, your friend, your brother, your uncle, cousin, whatever, father. And, do some book clubs or something. Are you going to do some book clubs, Keah?
I do. I want to. I really do want to.
Okay, Lorna says she has to go. Thank you for being in here, Lorna. Okay, the other thing I wanted to say is someone told me this too. Like, I haven't finished my book. Siobhan has asked me a long, long time ago. I'm doing it. Lorna gets on me all the time. And Stephanie Carter, who was my guest before, who recently wrote a book, and she was just like, once you write one, you're not going to stop. So what's your next book title?
I haven't found that one to be true.
I think it's coming. I really do. And it may even be about the grief thing. Who knows? But I think you have so much more in you, Keah. That's all.
Well, thank you.
On that note, thank you all so much for joining us. If you would like to support me, please subscribe to this page, like, share, share, like, and subscribe to my YouTube page, this broadcast, any others. And also, I would love for you all to go and purchase my CD, Depend, or MP3s, Past the Present, or God Delivered Me, the single, and solo.2, 1SingingLady / 1SingingLady has all of my links, or you can go to lisalgilliam.com. Please go to the guest book. If you like the things that I'm doing, please share. Because sometimes when I get in those places where I'm like, I don't know if I could do this, I like to see that I've been able to be an encouragement to somebody else. So if you like this, you can still leave a comment on here. Let Keah know how much you've been blessed by her. Hit her up. Let her know, that this is where you saw her. So she knows, hopefully, that when Lisa asks her to come back, she'll want to. This plug again. At least I'm honest about my plugs.
I love it. I love it. And thank you so much for this opportunity. I appreciate this.
Oh, you are welcome. I do love you, Keah, and I wish you much.
Too.
1 second, okay? Thank you all. We're going to end the broadcast. 1SingingLady out. I'll see y'all next Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Okay.